Hi, I'm Tracy Koga with something short and fun. This is a Hue Soundbite. So, Sean, I propose that after tonight, we don't see each other ever again.
Are you just saying that, or are you trying to like say the title of the movie? I don't know.
I'm trying to say the title of the movie. Yes, folks, that is the name of Sean Garrity's new movie. He's back in Winnipeg and shamelessly flogging this new film.
I propose we never see each other again after tonight.
And how did you come up with that name?
Actually, I used to live in South America many years ago.
Yes.
And I was living there going to film school, and I met a Canadian backpacker. She was from Vancouver. She was with her fiance. And she said, "Oh, what are you guys doing? Blah, blah, blah." I was like, "We're going to a party." So we get together to go to this party, except at night when she comes to meet me to go to the party, she leaves her fiance in the hotel. And she was like, he was sick, he wasn't coming. We sit down, and she's like, "And I got to tell you, because I feel like I'm never going to see you again, because I'm a backpacker, and you live here, and you're from Winnipeg, and I'm from Vancouver." And she's like, "I'm actually having an affair on my fiance." And I went, "Oh my God!" And so
With you? No.
No. And then so we started just sharing these secrets, and there was something really liberating about being able to share secrets with a person who you knew you were never ever going to see again.
Well, and I can see that, right? Because there's nothing that will stop you, or I guess it's the feeling that you'll never get caught.
Yeah, well, that's it. You can.
Then what did you do? You hunted her down?
No, I never saw her again. I hope she's okay wherever she is. Vancouver, one assumes. But so I kind of, at the beginning of this movie, I propose we never see each other again after tonight. These two characters, they meet downtown in Winnipeg, and she's had a really hard day, and she's like, "Hey, let's go for a drink." And I propose we never see each other again after tonight, and so we can just talk about whatever secrets we have, what's ever on our mind. And so that's kind of their first meeting, is this really suddenly emotionally intense meeting where they just gonna spill all their darkest secrets to one another.
Oh, and then do they get back together in the end?
No, that's it. It's a 5-minute movie. That's the only scene, and that's no. I mean, I think in Buenos Aires, where I was, it's much easier to say let's never see each other again, and she goes back to Canada, and I'm still in South America. Winnipeg, maybe not so easy.
Okay, and so let's look at your two main characters. You've got a Filipino lead lady.
I do.
And an Anglo-Saxon white male. Now,
No, he's a Mennonite.
I am sorry, folks out there, that are listening to this. There's a difference between Mennonites and white Anglo-Saxons. So I'm.
Yeah, there is. Yes. I don't think Mennonites are neither. I don't think they're Anglo nor are they Saxon.
Okay.
Is my understanding.
Oh, okay. So I've learned something new.
But when I moved back from Toronto, I wanted to make like a really Winnipeg movie. So I sort of thought, okay, one of them's going to be Filipino, and one of them's going to be Mennonite, and it's going to end at a big wedding social. So it does. That my climactic scene is at this giant wedding social.
Oh, and so they're eating like Filipino noodles and
the lechon, the pig is there. Yep, the whole thing. They're doing line dancing. All of that's in the movie.
And what is it? Salami and rye bread?
No, there's none of that. It's a Filipino social.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so yes, talking about your crew, coming back to Winnipeg, you know what? You always manage to find hidden gems.
I do. And you know what? And I'd like to, if you can see the poster, two of them right here, both of them, it's their first film. For her, it's her first time in front of the camera, and they are amazing. You've seen, I think, some of the stuff, some of the footage. She's just, they both are. They're just both incredibly gifted actors. I hope they stick around Winnipeg. Sometimes really gifted actors, they fly the coop.
So how did you find them, especially Hera?
Finding the Filipino actors was tough because I think my suspicion is that there might be a bit of a circle that they're because we don't put a lot of Filipinos in our movies.
No.
Even though
Asians as a whole, except for Crazy Rich Asians and Parasite. Okay, so maybe there is hope.
But it's true, and 1 in 10 Winnipeggers is Filipino.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you have a movie with more than 9 characters, how come one of them should be Filipino? And I've been, this is my 8th film, and I've only put a few Filipinos in my movies, so I'm as guilty as anyone else. But I sort of thought, okay, if my lead's going to be Filipino, when she goes back to see her family, we're really going to play it like it would play. Yeah. So as I was writing the script, I realized eventually that I needed 15 speaking parts for, Canadians of Filipino heritage. And that was, most casting directors in the city are like, I got 5. right? Like
So did you use her family then?
No, we really looked everywhere. A lot of the Filipinos in Winnipeg have a Facebook page they go to called the 204 Marketplace. So we got our mom and dad from there. Hera is a singer, songwriter as well, so she has a YouTube channel, which is where I found her. And I sat down with my Filipino friends, Stephanie Sai, and a lot of the actors in the community, and I was like, who else is there? Who else do you know? And it was kind of networking and networking and networking. I even went to a Sisler High School drama teacher, and I said, who did you see come through your class who was amazing, and then went on to become like a dental hygienist or something?
Yes, well, Sisler or Maples?
Yes, yeah.
So, but I have to say Maples Collegiate have great dance teams there. So, do you have any dancing in this movie at all?
Well, it's a social. There's line dancing.
Line dancing?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Oh, so what was it like coming back home to do the film?
It was great. I mean, Winnipeg, even when I was living in Toronto, most of the movies that I made, I shot here, right? So we'd write them. I mean, you can write them anywhere. So I'd write them just in my apartment or whatever. But we'd come to Winnipeg to shoot them, and then we'd take them back to Toronto to post.
Get them edited and post. Yeah. So what was the experience like for you for this one? I mean, you said it's your 8th film now. It's old hat for you.
Well, it's never quite old hat. Every film has a new, old toque. Every film has a new sort of challenge, a new coronavirus, whatever the world throws at you, right? Yeah. So, I mean, this one, I was very interested in, in a lot of movies, an Aaron Sorkin film, or whatever, people speak in a very concise, almost very poetic way, and the words are very crafted on the page, and a lot of people really love that. David Mamet's work, for example. Yeah. I am not one of those people. I find it hard to get in. I find it hard to believe I'm watching real people when
they're talking like that.
Yeah, when everyone's speaking in complete sentences and it's so poetic and beautiful. And it's, I have a great admiration for the craft, obviously, but I find it hard to become emotionally involved in the story. So in this film, I was very interested in really finding kind of vernacular Winnipeg 2020 English. And it is a thing. Like the film will carry the stamp of this place and this time, and people talk over top of each other and they don't finish their sentences. And I'm very interested in, if you sit and listen to people talking in a donut shop or something, nobody speaks in complete sentences. And and what is that? What is that moment where they stop talking? Like, what is it they don't say?
Well,
where do they stop talking?
And that's
right?
awkward, right? Like when you first meet somebody or whatever, you sit down and you go, "How you doing? How do you?" And you yak yak yak, and then all of a sudden you run out of things to say.
Yeah, there's not so much of that. It's more just like, even when you're composing a sentence, I could be like, I saw you the other day and you're like, right? And we speak in a way that's kind of short form, where we don't really feel the need to complete a whole sentence and put a period at the end, because that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is communication.
So, going back to then your, talking about David Mamet and people talking in full sentences and using big words and everything like that, and what you like, is there a happy medium, or you're just playing? Is that to the masses now? Do you think, of the way that you write?
Well, I hope so. I mean, there is something I think that people will find immediately sort of disarming about this film a little bit, because I don't think a lot of people are used to seeing people talk like this in movies, because they talk like we talk. But I think once you're in, it's kind of like a cold lake. Once you're in, it's nice. And I really think that there is a higher level of kind of cognition going on when you watch somebody who speaks kind of in the codes that we speak in, not something that's kind of written to explain something to an audience, but people not saying everything and not telling you everything and speaking almost more with their eyes and their faces and their gestures. And I hope that people will be more involved in the stories of the characters as a result. Certainly that's been the experience of our test audiences so far.
And so do you think you've had great success because these two actors are new and they're fresh and they haven't been jaded and they haven't gone to, those great acting classes, and, just like from watching them in the trailer, there is definitely a chemistry, and it's funny and it's quirky and everything else.
And very fresh. I mean, hard to say. I mean, I've worked with a lot of very experienced actors as well, and that is also a real treat, in a different way, right? So yeah, I mean, certainly I would say that you're right, that the flavor of this movie comes from the style of performances, really authentic performances that feel almost documentary at times. There was actually one scene on set where, I'm not giving anything away, but where my lead kind of broke down in tears, and it was so real that one of my cameras, I actually couldn't use the footage because the camera guy was crying. I'm not kidding. It was so the camera was moving like this because he was weeping as he was watching her. It's so kind of involving.
Yeah, and especially like digging out the car. That's involving. If you've ever been to Winnipeg in the winter, minus 50 and 20 feet of snow, and your car covered, and the Good Samaritan trying to get you out of there.
Yeah, I wanted to start the film with that because I feel that there have been a lot of films. I think Winnipeg filmmakers really work at mythologizing this city and creating a certain sense of what my Winnipeg is for each director. Right. And so, I saw one recently that was a very kind of postcard approach to the city, and I kind of felt like, oh man, I really, that's not how I feel about, I feel like Winnipeg is strangers who push your car out of the snow, and Winnipeg is like guys who buy a whole bunch of beer and put it on a toboggan and carry it across the St. Barnabas Bridge, and that stuff that when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that's Winnipeg, all right.
Well, that's your magic, Sean. You always manage to, touch on our senses and our hearts. And may not be my awkward sexual adventure, but I think this one is going to be a good one. So,
yes, very good.
It's 5 stars up from Hue, anyway. So just to let you know. And okay, you did mention coronavirus. So, what does that hold for the premieres and getting it out to festivals and everything?
Yeah, we'll see. It's extraordinarily bad timing for us. We have a contract with Cineplex to show the movie. So as long as Cineplex is open, we will be showing the movie. I think as long as people come to the movie and they don't have the virus and they don't turn to the person next to them and say, spit in my face, come on, spit on me, come on. As long as that doesn't happen, we should be good.
Yeah. No. So, and it does come out March
20th.
March 20th. Look for, okay.
I propose we never see each other again after tonight.
There you go, folks. Sean Garrity, right here in Winnipeg.